It's that time. It's time to keep it real in real estate. My boy Jay Lee's here. What's up, brother?
What's up, man?
Great to see you. Hey, real estate market.
Yeah, dude.
Talk of the town. We got data here that's fresh through October.
Yeah.
So want to check in on that. You know, it's been too long since we've done this because the data is so important to follow, to know what's really going on. People get caught up in stories or stuff they're seeing online or something that they might be feeling.
Yeah.
Which is legit. It's okay. Whatever you're feeling is fine. But the market doesn't care. And that's the thing that you have to realize, especially as investors. You and I are both real estate investors. Whatever you're feeling is okay. But the market does not care.
No, it doesn't. The market's going to do what it does.
That's right. So we're going to dive into some data here. Before we do that, like what is your sentiment right now, Jay, from where you stand as an investor, as an agent who's working with both buyers and sellers? Give me a feel for where you're at, how you feel about this market.
How do I feel about the market?
Yeah, what's your take on it?
The market doesn't bother me. I mean, you're either going to be successful in the market or you're not, right? The market dictates. You just have to know what a good deal is and what a bad deal is. Okay. The market dictates the price, right? Supply and demand, just like any kind of thing. Just like with gas right now, gas is sky high. Right. Food is sky high. There's less supply, more demand, prices will go up. I actually researched all the information all the way back to 1800 to watch the cycles of real estate in the United States. I know. Everybody says, it's a 10-year cycle. It's actually a 20-year cycle. Okay. So when people say the big crash happened in 2008, if you look back, when was the big one before that? Yeah, there was a little drop in some of the 90s, but in the 80s was when we had that big dip. Yeah. Right. So if 2008 was the marker, then 2008 should be the next one. The problem is that we've had so many people move here that we don't have enough homes for them to buy. Our inventory is at an all-time low. It is. People are talking about, it's going to crash when it's going to crash. If we don't have 10,000 houses hit the market per month, it's not going to crash. Yeah. It's just not going to happen. So when we pull up these slides to show everybody what the data is coming through, this will validate, my sentiment on it. As long as money is cheap, you buy. It doesn't matter what the price is. If you buy at a 2 to 3% interest rate at $1 million, or you can buy at $700,000 at a 5% interest rate, your payment will be about the same. Yeah. Right? That's the biggest problem. So would you rather have a $700,000 house or $1 million house? If your payment's going to be roughly the same, what do you think your better value is going to be? Yeah, and I think interest rates is something that actually helps get people off the fence a lot of times who are kind of going, should we renew our lease, or, are we ready to take this step? A lot of times it is interest rates, or what I saw recently here in the last few days, I've seen a lot of people come back into the saddle. People who had disappeared have come back. I don't know what's causing it, but my guess is people are hearing that interest rates are going to go up. And that's one thing that it's really surprising. People think, if interest rates go up, then prices will come down. That's not what happens. When interest rates go up, all the people who are sitting around procrastinating go, oh, shit, I think I waited too long. I've got to jump. I got to go do this now. Right now. So they just come and pile in. So usually what we see is when interest rates jump up, prices then jump up. Because people go, I got to get in there before it's too late. Right. And it actually causes news. So let's take a look at some of these numbers. What do you got here first for us? Let's see slide 1 here, Brandon. All right. So on slide 1, we have listed versus sold, and we're going back to 2017. And this is month by month. So this is October, right, of 21, 20, 19, 18, and 17. Now, as you can see, each year we're dropping, but look at the biggest drop we have. Right, we're 151 properties short year over year for under $200,000. So that means if you were looking for a property under $200,000, you don't have a lot to choose from.
Look at the drop in the 500 to 600 range. So that's like the sweet spot, right? Everybody wants the $500,000 to $600,000 house.
And a lot of that is, we have a lot of military here, and their BAH will cover that payment. So you have all those military buyers trying to buy in that price point. So you're looking at from 2020 dropping down to 2021, you're down 1,786 listings. And that's just in a month, right? That is in 1 month. So if you look at 2018, we had 7,000 listings available. So normally we have anywhere from, mid 5s to, mid 7s. That's would be what you call a stable market. Okay. Right, where you have enough listings on the market with enough supply, and it's not a buyer's market, it's not a seller's market, it's just a plain old even market where you can negotiate, get a home, and not have people come in at $100,000 over asking price. If you look at that sweet spot right there, that is, That's a huge drop. Now, as we go higher, so let's go ahead and jump to 1.5 and plus. If you look at 2020 to 2021, we had a lot of people hit the market in 2021.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I think there's a couple things there. Number one is, that 1.5 plus in 2020 is a lot more house than it is in 2021. Mm-hmm. Right? So that's got to be a part of it for me. But also, you got to think that some of the, the smarter money out there, some of the people who have the bigger homes are probably going, hey, this is a good time for us to sell. Exactly. If we're going to be doing something else.
Well, what had probably happened was they bought these homes for $700,000, $800,000 10 years ago, and it's now doubled. So now they're able to sell it off and go get something even bigger and nicer, or diversify that portfolio.
As soon as I saw and started hearing from people who were saying that they were beyond the capital gains exemption in profit,
right,
within like 5-6 years, that's when I knew that, you know what, that actually does cause people to take action. Mm-hmm. It really does, because it's not enough to get $500,000 free money, untaxed gains on your real estate, which you can do if you're a married couple. Because like if you do sell your home and you make $700,000, let's say after expenses and everything, and you get to take $500,000, you're only paying tax on $200,000. Your effective tax rate on the whole $700,000 is still really low.
Right.
But for some reason, people see that as a reason to do something, and they do take action. So for whatever reason, again, to me, my feeling is that makes no sense. But my feelings don't matter. So it's what people do that matters, and that's why these numbers are so important.
So let's go ahead and drop down to solds, right?
Okay.
So right there, that was listed. So now if you look at the sold and we look at the same numbers, so let's go ahead and look at under 200,000. In 21, in October 21, we sold 83 out of the 90 that were listed. That means you only had 7 homes left, right? If you drop down to that sweet spot of 500 to 600,000, we sold, what was it, 3,189.
Yeah, out of that,
that's
3,779.
1,000% more. Like, well, we're 1,000% short, right, of what is coming on the market. Isn't that crazy?
That's nuts.
So then we drop down to 1.5. We're at 102%.
That's so crazy.
102%, meaning that in 2021 we sold 3,464 homes. 102% increase compared to 20. So that means even with that jump of inventory, 15.3%, we are up 102% of how many sold. So it doesn't matter what price you're at.
It doesn't.
The market is crazy.
And that's the thing that's been the most surprising to me, is that we've always had kind of a hot market in that sweet spot. We'll call it the 500,000 to 600,000 range. Everybody wants a mortgage payment $3,000 or less. Like I hear that so often. So it's that 500,000 to 600,000 range, and you used to be able to get a detached home for that. You still can, but it's very challenging. It's not nearly as easy as it once was. You used to be able to get some houses with a pool under 600,000 in San Diego detached, but you're not seeing that anymore. So it's interesting to see how that particular sweet spot lines up with what's happening in the higher market now, because it used to just be that area or lower we would have these frenzies, but now you're seeing it, people listing homes for 1.2 and they're selling for 1.5.
Right.
Stuff like that's going on. That didn't used to happen. I never saw anything like that happen. So it's across all price points is what we're seeing here.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go ahead and skip to the next slide. Check this out.
Cool.
All right, so this is 2019, 2020, and 2021 listings. So 2019 is in blue, 2020 is in red, and 2021 is in yellow. So yeah, we have more listings across the board in anything above $600,000.
Okay.
So at 500 to 600, we're way less.
Way down.
So in 19, we had 6,869 listings.
Look at that.
And now we're at 3,779, and that's month by month.
I'm looking at 3 price points right now. Really 4 price points that tell you a huge story. 200 to 300, 300, 400, 400 to 500, 500 to 600.
Yeah.
Look at the decline.
Right.
Year over year there, and how those bars drop down from the blue to the red to the yellow, and all 4 of those price points really tell you a story right there.
So check this out. This is where a lot of people forget about this part of real estate. Most of those homes that sold in 19, a lot of them are selling here in 21, but they're not selling at the 500 to 600 mark.
That's true.
They're selling between 600 to 800,000.
That's right.
Because of the market. So as you can see, they went up.
They went up big time.
They went up, right? More houses sold at that higher price point because people bought them at the cheaper ones, and because of the demand, their prices went up, and then they sold off.
And we've seen a lot of people who've been able to take those profits and upgrade. They bought the house for $500,000 or $600,000 2-3 years ago, and they're already flipping it.
I mean, that's Manny. He bought it a year ago.
Yep.
And what was it? What did he buy it at? 560?
High fives, yeah, I think 575, something like that.
Something like that. And he just bought one at 947.
947.
3,700 square feet.
Just funded yesterday.
I mean, yeah, just crazy, man.
Yep.
And it wasn't even 2 years.
No. Yeah, it was under 2 years.
Yeah, and he made a profit.
He did. Not only that, he also did a cash out refi.
Yeah.
In the interim.
Yeah.
And put all kinds of stuff in his property. So like, he had he was able to utilize, and this was particularly when we talk about the veteran buyer,
right?
The opportunities to refinance, capture equity, redeploy that into other investments, or to go ahead and sell your home, reuse the VA on the next one. A lot of people don't realize you can do that. You already have a VA on the current house. You can use the VA on the next one as long as you're selling it, no problem.
Right.
We can immediately get your entitlement restored through a process with a particular form with the VA. So you can capture that. And I think that's also what you're seeing is a lot of those homes you're talking about that were bought in 19 were sold and then upgraded. So that person sold that house that they bought for $575,000 for, $800 or $700 or whatever. And then they're buying a house that's $1 million.
Yep.
So that's creating two deals in the higher price point that used to be in the lower price point. I think that's exactly what this graph is illustrating right here.
Yep. Let's go ahead and go to the next one.
Next slide.
All right, now here's the solds compared to listings. So look at it year over year. So like you said, in that sweet spot, we're going down. But anything above that sweet spot went up. Why? Because exactly what we showed in the listing difference, they're making more money, right? So year to date sold, we're up. 2021 is up 83.88%.
That's crazy, though. That's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that there's that many transactions taking place because the market feels so thin. Mm-hmm. Think about how many buyers we have that are looking and struggling to find a place. It's not everybody, but there are a lot of them like that. I think if you're a picky buyer, this is a very tough market for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you look at the numbers on the left, right, at the top left. So you have year to date listed in 2018, right, was 38,917. Year to date sold was 24, so it was a 61%, right? If you look at 2021, we had 32,000 homes listed with 27,000 homes sold. So we had less homes listed, more homes sold for an 83.88%, increase.
That tells a lot of the story right there, honestly.
Exactly. So
that just tells you the story of demand and then obviously supply, but the demand comes through on the sold side. So that's just a supply and demand comparison right there where you can see. And by the way, the market was pretty good in 2018.
Yeah, it was solid.
Market was pretty good in 2019.
It was solid.
The market got a little crazy in 2020.
Yeah.
And it hasn't stopped.
No, it's going to keep going. Yeah. Let's check out the next one.
Yeah, next slide. Oh, I love this one.
Yeah. So we had 484 more listings taken in 21 for an increase of 1.7%. Now, look where those numbers are. So anything under 200,000, look at that. We had only 90 listings taken compared to 241. Go up one, again, that's not even half.
Huge drop.
The next one, almost $1,000 difference from 300. Almost 1,000 houses different from 300 to 400,000. And you go up to 4 to 5, 5 to 6. Look at the difference at 5 to 600,000. 5,565 last October, and we only had 3,779 this October.
That's crazy. And you start to see it flips in the 600 range.
Yep.
But just barely. So 600 to 700, you see that's pretty much flat, but it's going the other direction now. Mm-hmm. And then it just flip-flops.
The biggest difference is your 950 to 1.5 because you had all those people that bought at 700 to 800 that are now over $1 million, and they're going to cash out and go do something else with that money.
Yeah. A lot of people are really looking at that now. And I got to tell you, it must be tough. Can you imagine selling your real estate in this market? Yeah, you know what I mean?
Do it all the time. Do it every day.
It's like, but as the owner, being like, you know what, I'm going to get out of the real estate market right here. Mm-hmm. I never want to knock anybody for getting out early. Mm-hmm. You'd rather get out too early than too late, right? But I think we've got 4, 5, maybe 6 years of run here left in this real estate market. And I don't just mean in San Diego. I'm talking about nationwide due to supply shortages in materials for building, builder restrictions. Just where's the supply going to come from is the problem. You can see that here.
Yeah, and one of the biggest problems with San Diego in general is we're landlocked. Yeah. Right? We can't go north. We can't go south. We can't go west. The only place we can go is east. And no one wants to live out there in the desert. Right? I mean,
no offense if you live in the desert, but
further than Jamul and El Cajon and Ramona. I mean, out further. There's just sand.
Jamul is actually blown up.
It's blowing up. And they got some beautiful houses out there. I mean, I drove through there the other day and, huge homes, 3-car garage, giant lots, beautiful modern homes with a view because they're up on a hill. Mm-hmm. That's lovely. The only problem I have with it myself is that it catches fire a lot.
True.
And I like my stuff, and I just don't want to see my stuff burn down. That's just me. But if you're cool with it, I mean, if I was out there, I'd have to build like a whole fire suppression system all the way around my house.
Barstow lives in Jamul.
Yeah, I know.
So
I'd have to hit a button and just have water just spraying everywhere.
Fire hoses, automated,
just
sprinkler system like the Bellagio.
Yeah.
So when I first found out about Jamul, I didn't even know it was a thing. I knew Alpine, but it took me years of being in San Diego before I heard of Jamul. And it was like Borrego Springs back then. Like people thought it was just eternity away. Yeah. What's happened with this real estate market is people have realized that, location has become less important.
100%.
It has become less important. People care more about the home, more about the actual property than they do about where it is. That's the work from home culture.
Yep.
And that's what I'm calling it, the podcast culture, because there are people now who don't mind commuting.
Right.
Because they listen to podcasts. They're like, you know what? Yeah, I drive 2 hours each way every day. I'm like, oh, just put a gun in my mouth. They're like, no, it's fine.
I don't know if you can say that on the radio.
I don't know if you can. We're not on the radio.
Well, YouTube.
But whatever. Yeah, man, they may flag us.
Let's go ahead and bleep that out.
You want to bleep that, Brandon? All right, cool.
We can bleep that.
So I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I know myself. People are doing, they're like, that's cool. I'm fine. It's great, actually.
I couldn't do it. I did it for 3 years when I was stationed in Bremerton, Washington. I lived in Renton, which is a suburb of Seattle, and I drove about an hour and 20 minutes each way. It actually caused me to have sciatica pain in my legs because I was sitting in the car for so much, and I was getting 3 or 4 hours of sleep a night because I had to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to leave the house by 4 to get to work on time because you had to be there before 6. And if I hit traffic, there's no excuses.
You can't be late.
It doesn't matter how late, how far away you live. You got to be there.
Yeah.
And it was sucked because once you got to the base, you had to drive all the way around the base in a line to get to the parking garage. So it wasn't just a wait to get to the base. It was a wait once you got on the base.
Goodness gracious.
Right. So I had to give myself a 2-hour window. So I'd be driving to work for, 2 hours in the morning and then an hour and a half or some change on the way home. And I will never do that again.
Yeah.
Never, ever do it again.
I wouldn't sign up for
Unless
that.
the car drives itself and I could take a nap in the back. If it does that, I'm all right. I can do that.
Let's get a Tesla, bro.
I have one that's going away today. I'm done. We're not going to turn this into a Tesla love-hate relationship. You can check out my YouTube channel for that video.
Yeah. We'll post the link. So you can see, with this, like the data, what's great about this is, the numbers, there's no opinion here. Like we could take an opinion from the data, but the data you're looking at is real and it is what it is. And you can interpret some things I think that are particular about it, but mostly what you can see here is, from what we've shown you so far, and I don't know if we have more slides or not.
Oh,
but
we have a bunch, yeah.
We have a bunch more, okay. Is that demand is extreme. Mm-hmm. Supply actually listeds has been there. Like the listings have been there. They're at a higher price points though. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the thing that's happening is you're seeing the demand is accepting of that fact.
Yeah. And
transactions are taking place at a higher clip than they have in the last few years. In the last few years, we've seen a strong market. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and go to the next one.
Slide.
All right. Here's the sold difference.
Okay, here we go.
So 4,666 more properties sold in 2021. That's a 20.53% increase.
It's wild.
20% increase of year over year of homes that being sold. And look at the price points. Look how many we've sold. Again, once you hit that sweet spot, it skyrockets.
Yeah, it's wild.
And then it goes up from there. So everything in the higher end market is selling, and people are trying to buy in the lower market, but there's just not enough listings. So on to the next one.
And what that's doing is it's pushing people up into Riverside County is what it's doing.
Oh yeah, for sure. Now here's the active houses. We have, in the sweet spot, we have 86.
Dude, that is absolutely ridiculous.
86 homes in October were for sale between $500,000 and $600,000.
There's over 3 million people in this metro area.
Yeah,
We have 86.
And this is
sweet
what's
spot.
causing for all y'all out there watching right now. This is what's causing the supply and the demand issue. Most of my listings are above $700,000, $800,000. We do have some very rarely come on for less than that, but they're usually condos. So if you're looking at houses, you're at 86. Let's go ahead and hit this next slide. I think this will show condos.
Yeah, active houses, that's a good point.
And here you go. Here's condos, right? So most people want a condo between $300,000 and $400,000. We had 78. 400 to 500, you had a bit more, 112, and then you drop off again after that. Why? Because if you're in a condo, you're probably not looking to spend, $600,000 or more on that. And if you are, it's probably a luxury condo.
It's a rare situation.
Yeah, it's not really something that you're going to see a lot of, especially here in San Diego.
Unless you're getting like a high rise in downtown or, something like that. We actually did one. It was 726 is what I think it was here recently for a veteran buyer.
Exactly, but that's going to be over the 700 mark.
That's going to be over the 700 mark.
Right? So anything 500,000 to 600,000, that's not really luxury.
No.
Right?
No.
But they're not there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then 600 to 700, that's a nice condo. Is it a 3-bedroom? Does it have a view? Probably doesn't have a view, right? It's probably not downtown or on the water. It's probably somewhere else. But then you look at the 1.5 million,
Look at that.
That's crazy. So
What a spike.
Yeah, huge spike. So those are the definite high-rise luxury condos right there.
Yeah. Yeah, those are some sweet properties.
Yeah. There's one right there on Bankers Hill. I believe it's at $4 million.
What?
Yeah, it's a 3,000 square foot condo with a view of the bay.
Wow.
And it's been for sale for over a year. Has not sold.
That's a tough one to sell.
Yeah, it's a new build. So it's just sitting there. All right, let's go ahead and hit this next one. All right, listed to sold 2021. All right, this is what we call absorption. Absorption means that the properties were on the market and were absorbed by the market, meaning they are no longer available. So if you look at that sweet spot, 500,000 to 600,000, we have an 84.38% absorption rate, which means it is an extreme seller's market. We would like to see around 60% absorption rate to have a more stable market. Anything above that, you're looking at an extreme seller's market. And if you look across the board, there is nothing below 80%.
That's what first thing I noticed is that everything was 80s plus. And
Yeah.
you get to the 90s and you go to the lowest price point.
Yeah.
But 80 plus across the board.
Even at the 1.5 plus, you're at 80.82.
That makes no sense.
So
How could that be?
Anything that you're listing on this market is gonna sell as long as you price it appropriately.
Yeah.
Now there are some people out there that overprice their homes and they'll sit, and those are those ones that didn't sell.
Those are the ones that didn't sell.
That's the 18%, right? So if you have a FSBO or a weak agent that just listens to the seller and goes, yeah, I want to make $1 million on this house, and it's a $800,000 house, and they list it anyway.
Yeah.
That's the one that's gonna sit.
That is happening, by the way.
It is 100% because they think because the market's crazy that they can price it at whatever they want. Someone will buy it.
Just the wrong strategy.
It's not the right way to go. For sure. You'd rather underprice it and let the market tell you what the home is worth rather than trying to dictate what the home is worth, because then you push people away.
You do. You scare off buyers, and buyers know. Buyers ask questions. They're like, buyers know. How many offers do you have on this?
We have the most informed buyers that have ever existed right now. The internet has all the data, right? And if the agent isn't providing the same data that the buyer's looking for because they're finding it online, guess what? They're dropping that agent. They're finding somebody else that is actually competent in their job. So when you see a market like this, the buyer is informed. The buyer knows what's going on. And there is no way that you're going to tell a buyer, the reason you didn't get the house is the market, or the reason you didn't get the house is our offer was too low or too high, right? They're going to know if they're too high, too low. The problem is when you offer too much on a property, the first thing a listing agent like myself does is look at you and go, okay, do you have the money to make up the difference on an appraisal? If you don't, I'm probably not going to take that offer.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to even risk going into escrow with someone just because you offered a higher price point and not have the deal close. right? I'd rather take a surefire offer that's legit, right where I comp the house at. And I tell everyone where I comp the houses at, hey, you know what? I comped it out at 780. You know, if you hit 780, you got a solid chance. And then I get somebody comes in at like 840 and they're FHA or VA and they have no money in the bank. Like, you're way too high, man. You're 60 grand too high. I can't take that. It's not going to work, you know? And, you know, that's because that agent goes, oh, we should offer way higher, you know, to try to get the house. It's not what you should do. Just write it nice and clean.
Yeah, be clean.
Nice and clean. Actually have all the boxes checked that are supposed to be checked. Have the names filled out. Have the license numbers filled out. If you're a buyer and you're getting a contract and not everything is filled out, the listing agent's going to see that, and they're probably not going to take your offer, just so you know.
It's the biggest turnoff, right, as a listing agent?
Oh, yeah.
It's just have a sloppy offer come in.
Well, I mean, I look at those, and I tell the seller right away. I said, look, this offer is not clean, right? It's missing a bunch of stuff. We're going to have to counter back all this stuff, and if they didn't fill out in the first place, they probably don't know what it is, right? Because there's so many agents out there that, you know, everybody in San Diego knows someone that's a realtor. Everybody that has a license. You know, they know someone.
Yep. Is
that person practicing real estate on a daily basis or not is the big question. 42,000 realtors in San Diego County.
42,000 now.
In the county, yeah. Wow. But not active, right? Because a lot of them aren't doing business. They're licensed, but they're not active.
Right.
And, you know, the top 5% of us, we're doing all the business.
That's right. It's always been that way, it seems like.
Yeah.
Now it's just the numbers are just bigger.
Exactly. All right, let's go ahead and go to this next one. All right, new listings. So I keep hearing from a lot of people, oh, you know, we had more listings this month. We had more listings this month. I'm going to say no. All right. So we're a little bit over, you know, 2,400. We're 2,400 listings for homes, single families, and 1,300 and change for condos. You know, yeah, we're up from November of 20, but if you look at August of 20, we're right about the same is what October was right there. So, you know, if you look at August to August,
yeah.
So we're right before that, August of 20. So we're right about the same. Let's go ahead and hit that next one.
And if you paid attention earlier, you find that we have about a month's worth of inventory.
Not even.
Yeah, approximately.
Yeah.
Which means that if no one decided to list their home for sale for the next 4 weeks, there would be no homes for sale.
Exactly.
Zero. And that's how much demand there is. The market is chasing down these homes that are listed for sale. Dude, so fast.
I'm getting letters and phone calls from realtors, and I play with them. I do. I really do. I have fun with it. Like, I thought it was hilarious. There's this group out there that, you know, they obviously, I don't know. They sent me a flyer about a home that sold near me. Right? And I'm like, you didn't even sell that home. I know who sold that home. Right? Like, why are you sending me this? Don't you know who I am? Yeah, like, like, this is my street, dude. Like, I live here. I saw the sign.
You don't think I'm curious about that?
Yeah, like, anytime there's a house on my street and it's an open house, I go look at it.
Of course.
It's my street.
And by the way, everyone should. Why wouldn't you do that?
You need to. Why? Because then you can see what your competition looks like if you do end up, if you go to an open house and it's on your street and the house is crap and it's selling for way more than you think it should and then it sells for that, imagine with your home being nicer, what it would go for.
Yeah.
Like,
you should know that.
Yeah, 100%. You need to know.
Yeah, don't trust the, like, Zestimate. You know what I mean? No. Like, go look at the market.
Speaking of Zestimates, they just proved that their estimate doesn't work because they just lost $550 million.
There isn't a crow big enough to serve. You need all the crow in the world. Poor Zillow.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about being embarrassed and having your pants down in front of the whole world.
Their stock took a dump, man. It was bad.
It got murdered, dude.
It was bad. So now's a good time to buy it.
That's what people have been saying. Like, hey, maybe I should buy the stock. You know what? Zillow's not going away.
No, they're always going to be there. They just tried to alter their model and have realized that online data isn't enough to determine the value of a property.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
You know, you actually have to go see it. You have to know the neighborhood.
Also, you need to know your strategy. It's actually a tremendous testament to what we do in our seminar when we talk about strategy.
Yeah.
Because Zillow's strategy was to flip houses by paying retail price first. So that's a really, really bad strategy. It's just, I mean, ABC's basics, if they had told me, if they'd presented it to me in a boardroom, I'd have been like, you guys are idiots. Before they even bought the first house, but this is a dumb idea. It doesn't make any sense. You're counting on the market to go up swiftly in order for you to have a chance. And if the market even just takes a breath, which is all that's happening right now, the market's not going down, team. This market's just taking a breather. It's going sideways before the next level up, just like it did previously. And it's crushing them. It crushed them. They lost how much? $500 million?
$550 million.
Over $500 million lost.
In a year.
Off of just a market that's going sideways. That's extremely strong. A huge demand.
They overpaid for a lot of houses.
That's what I'm saying.
They overpaid. Like they paid what they should have paid 6 months after they bought it. Right. And then they're trying to relist it. Well, you don't make any money that way.
Yeah.
You got to hold it for just a little bit or do some improvements.
Hope you have another hustle. That's not the one.
Yeah. But anyway, this is the active listings right now. So as you can see, we're at 22.
Look at the trend. Look at the trend there of the yellow line and how it's just going down over time. Just notice that, because that is the supply squeeze that's taking place. And for the attached stuff, you can see it's a little bit more sideways, but still heading down. If you go back to August of 18, as we were talking about 2376 down to where we are today, under 1,000. Just look overall, that trend also heading lower. So overall here, our inventory trend is heading down. And that's what we were speaking about at the very beginning was, where is the inventory going to come from? Where are the housing coming from? The builders aren't making them.
No.
They can't even keep up with their own micro demand, much less put a dent in the macro demand.
The builders are just starting their own bidding wars. Hey, we have 100 people on this list. Everybody submit an offer. We're going to pick the top 5.
That's exactly what I would do if I was them. Because why not? I mean, you're a builder.
And by the way, we're not going to pay an agent.
Correct. They have kicked agents to the curb. Anytime someone in business, particularly with investments, tries to get your representation removed from the equation,
it's a bad look.
It's not a good sign. Okay, it's a bad sign. It means they're trying to take advantage of you. It means they're trying to milk you for everything that they can. And unfortunately, that's the business of being a home builder. And it's the reason why I tend to tell people, like, be careful. Like, this is the used car lot of old. That back in the day, people would say, like, don't send your young daughter to the car lot by themselves because they'll get taken advantage of by someone. Like that was what people said when I was growing up. They told my sister, that my sister's 8 years older than me. They were like, don't go by yourself. Do this, this, and this. I say the same thing to people who are trying to buy new builds. Like, do not go alone.
Yeah, don't go alone. And the biggest, scariest thing about buying a new build right now is that they're slapping them together so fast. I walked into one and I saw the wave on the stairway.
No way.
Yeah, the wall was waving at me, like it had a wave to it. And I asked the seller rep, I said, hey, what's up with this? And they're like, what's up with what? I said, your wall's on a wave. Like, it's not straight. It bends numerous times.
Wow.
And they were like, really? I was like, yeah, look at the baseboard. Like, you could see the gaps.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, well, we could fix that. I said, you could fix that? You got to pull all the drywall, redo the framing of the stairway, and then put up the drywall again.
You got to figure out what's causing that.
What's the framing?
Yeah.
It's they didn't line up the boards on the framing, and then when they put the drywall on and nailed it to it, it
caused a bend.
Yep, sorry. It molded to it, and then they just mudded it and called it good. It's not good. That's a bad look.
That's not good.
It's a bad look. When your house is thrown together like that and you don't see the whole process and watch it being built, and they're doing that, I'd much rather buy a house built from the 70s or 80s that's been around a while and I know it's sturdy, because they had bigger standards then.
They did.
You had to use bigger pieces of wood for your trusses, your support beams. All the requirements were bigger. You had 4x6s instead of 4x4s.
If you buy a new construction, still get an inspection.
Oh, 100%.
You have 100%. To. Don't trust that the builder, this is a brand new house. No.
Yeah, we did that. We did that for one of my buddies. We had an inspection done. We had a laundry list of things, and they were like, well, just give it to the warranty department. The warranty department will fix it. And they have a 10-year warranty on the house. So,
okay, that's cool.
1 year for little things, but 10-year for electrical.
Major.
And, major things, but still. So also, if you're buying a new house, I'd say at 10 months, have another inspection done, because things will start not working, and then have them fix everything again under warranty.
While it's under warranty.
Yep, exactly.
That's great.
Exactly.
Great nugget right there.
All right, let's go on to the next one. Pending listings. Look at those numbers. So we just had 2,400 for sale, and now we're at 2,300 for pending.
That's nutty.
Right?
It's everything. There's so little out there.
Yeah, there's just no inventory. We don't have enough. The demand is too high. Let's see the next one. Sold listings. Look at that number.
See, that's the thing I think that people are misconstruing. There's a lot of transactions taking place.
A lot. We're selling more houses this year than we have before. and there's less being sold.
That's so weird.
Yeah. So let's go to the next one. All right. So
there it is.
You have your median sales price. Look at this. 39.33% over a 4-year gain is a $240,000 increase in median home value. 9.8% average annual appreciation, and 13.33% appreciation from 2020 to 2021.
Those are big numbers, bro.
So in 4 years, right, your average annual was 9.8, but just this last year is over 13%.
What's crazy is you're seeing the same kind of numbers. In fact, even bigger numbers on the attached side.
Right. The attached side, yeah, is a 40% and 10% and 16.91. And here's the thing. The reason you're seeing that appreciation go up is because houses have gone up so much in cost. People are now switching to condos that were able to afford that sweet spot.
Mm-hmm.
And now that they can't afford the sweet spot, they're switching to a condo that's a large condo, but still a condo and costing them a little bit less money. Let's go ahead and hit this next one. This will be average, I think. Average sales price. So, again, look at the percentage. 4,580.
45.
Yeah, 45%. That's what it should be. We're missing a period. I'm sorry. I was like 4,000. What's going on? No, but 45% gain in a 4-year time. That's $354,000 in 4 years.
That is crazy,
right?
You can see the trend there, obviously.
Yeah.
Just look at it, you can see it.
Look at the appreciation.
And there's that
17% in 20 to 21.
Wow, for 17%. Detached.
And then attached is 13.34.
Yeah. There's a spot, I call it no man's land, where you're trying to get detached, but then you go back to condo, and you have to allow for a pretty big price gap because you have to add HOA into the equation. So it's like, if you're right on that cusp, here's one thing. Even though we're looking at these numbers, it looks like it's relatively the same. I still feel that the detached home, if you can get one, is the better long-term play.
Oh, definitely.
From a supply standpoint, because a lot of the new construction is attached. So there's going to be more competition, and that's what they're going to build. The detached is where they're not building as many, and when they do, they really look just like the attached. They're just 10 feet apart from instead of right up against one another.
Right. So we've actually hit this space, and I'm waiting for the slide to show up. Let's go ahead and go to the next one.
Okay, cool.
Our month supply.
There you go.
So we're at 1 month on detached, and we're at 0.8
on attached. Wow. That is just
so again, like you were saying,
cray.
If nobody listed their house in the last month, we'd run out.
Be done. That'd be it.
Right. Let's hit this next one.
So that's number of months of supply.
Average list price to average sales price. We're at 102.5% change. So per the MLS last year, it was around 97%, right? The year before that, 18, 19, most realtors sold at like 93 to 90% of their list price. Now the average is much higher. Why? Because everybody is actually getting more for their home because there's less supply. So realtors' numbers look great right now.
Yeah. That's where the market is really, really taking hold. And I think what we talked about earlier with people overpricing their homes and having them sit, that will catch up eventually. It will catch some of these figures up on the average. And if you're a seller, just know that it's the wrong way to approach the situation. If you're the type of person who's like, I won't sell the house, we'll just stay unless I can get this number, then I think you need to figure something else out about what's going on, because ultimately that kind of decision shouldn't be made by how much you're going to sell your house for, right? And there should be other reasons to do it.
Right.
And if you're just looking at for just a certain price, then still go ahead and go through the process correctly. Don't just put that price as list price. Go through the process correctly and see where you end up. And if you don't end up where you want to be, then don't accept an offer.
Exactly.
That's the way to do it.
Exactly.
So I know there's some sellers out there who are like that. If you are, do it the right way. And if you don't get your offer, then just pass.
Yep. That's what I would do.
Okay.
All right. Let's go on to the next one.
We got more numbers.
All right.
This is my favorite one.
Price per square foot. This is the one I really wanted to get to.
Yep.
So for the first time ever, look at that.
Detached is above. Oh yeah, well, let's see. Attached got above for a split second.
For a split second, right. But look at those numbers. They're $538 to $533 per square foot. They're almost identical.
Yeah. That's really interesting.
Before, you would always have condos having a higher price per square foot and detached being less, because you had the land and everything else that came with it. So the price per square foot was actually down a little bit, but now they're dang near even, $5 difference.
Yeah. That's really interesting. I like looking at the trends here because to me, the price per square foot is the real. If you're going to look at just one graph, this is the one.
Right.
This will tell you what's going on in the market because it takes everything into account. You know, and although I typically don't look at the attached price per square foot because it is such an anomaly, you know, with the way it works. The detached price per square foot for me is the way to get the pulse of the market, and you can see exactly what the market's telling you by looking at that blue line right there, which is that there is a very strong demand for San Diego real estate.
Yeah, the condos and the houses, $500 and something per square foot. I mean, you're not to build a house right now is cheaper. You just have to try to find the land.
Good luck, and you got to find someone to build it.
Yeah, and all the crews are already busy with flips from some investor somewhere else. But it's just insane. Like this number, I remember when I first started in real estate, it was in the 200s.
Yeah,
and
I remember that.
Yeah, and it's more than doubled the value. So it's crazy. This is the demand. This is here right now. If you own a property and it's a condo, take your square footage, times it by 538, and that's going to be your number-ish, and you'd probably be real close to it. I bet you money. Yeah. And same thing with a detached. If you have a single-family home, $533 times your square footage, that'll give you a rough estimate of what your home is like. Now, if you have some upgrades, go ahead and give you some bonuses. If you don't, we'll go ahead and take some away, but that'll be right about where you're going to be.
And you can see how kind of these lines were relatively flat and stable prior to COVID. I mean, you look at this right there in, May, which is when April, when transactions were taken that got into contract in March, which is when we had the lockdown. And look at what happened to prices from that point forward. It's kind of this stable growth, and then now it's just catapulted, leveled up the arc and the trajectory there quite a bit. What an awesome opportunity for people who did buy a condo, scraped together the money, made it happen. So, I'm going to get my first one, got in 18, 19, or even early in 20, and look at the position they're in now to be able to potentially upgrade.
Oh, yeah. I have friends right now. We sold them their house about 3 years ago, and they were talking to us, asking us questions, so we sent them a comp analysis of their home. They about lost their minds, right? They bought it for in the 300s, and it's in the mid 500s right now.
Wow.
Right? In 3 years. So they're like, well, what can we do with this? I was like, well, what do you want to do with it?
A lot with that.
Do you want to pull out some and invest it somewhere? Do you want to upgrade your primary living? Do you want to do both? Because you can.
Yeah.
It's up to you. If you want to sell it, you take that $200,000, put $100,000 down on the next home, because you only put $30,000 down for FHA loan in the beginning anyway. Now you're really stepping up. So It just depends on what you want to do.
I like the idea of, typically I would say don't sell real estate unless you have to, but I like the idea of, particularly for the first-time home buyer who's now going to become a second-time home buyer, I like them to sell the condo and get into the detached and do the upgrade and get into the dream house. I like that move right here. That's my favorite play right here, because it's okay to become to move up and to sell a piece of real estate when you're buying another piece of real estate. You're staying invested in the market. You're shifting chips from here to here. You're putting yourself in a better long-term situation, better long-term investment, in my opinion, and a better long-term living scenario.
Yeah.
To have your own place, be detached, not share any walls and all that stuff. So I like the move up from the condo to the detached here, even though you may look at it and go, well, gosh, those detached houses are even more now than what they were when we bought. But yeah, that's okay, because now you have cash to put down in the situation. Buy your rate down, buy the loan down. You can do things.
You're coming in with 6 figures on a down payment when you came in with just maybe $20,000-$30,000 the first time. It's a huge difference. $10,000 is $50 a month?
Correct.
Ish on your payment. So if you bought $100,000 in, you're looking at $500 difference. You know what I mean? On your payment.
Yep.
So if that makes a big difference for you, and if you had a $200,000 profit, you're $1,000 less on your home.
Plus rates are cheaper now.
Yeah, and the rates are better. So it's just, there's so much that you can do with this money. And if you wanted to make that type of move, go ahead and reach out and talk to us, because we'll educate you on some of this.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do we have another
slide? Is this the last one, B?
Cool.
Last slide. Perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
In it with the perfect slide.
That's the one. That's the one.
Jay Lee, appreciate you, brother. Hey, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. We're here to help. That's exactly why we're doing this. We already know this data and this information. We know it forwards and backwards. We want to share it with you so that you have the opportunity to make an educated decision about what's best for you and your family when it comes to real estate. So share this with your friends and family to help make them smarter than everyone else.
Take it easy.